this week, on the Human Trafficking Hater Facebook page, I made several posts about Guardian Group. I tried to convey what amazing work they do and how they have been effectively combating sex trafficking in the US since 2010. While many of you shared the post and were just as excited to see an entire organization dedicated to fighting against sex trafficking, I unintentionally might have made it seem that this group is performing tasks they are not. Fortunately, Guardian Group saw the post and reached out to me so that I could share with all of you what it is that their organization really does to help save victims of sex trafficking in the US. The remainder of this video is an interview I had with a representative of Guardian Group. After getting the facts, I can tell you that this group is even more amazing than I previously thought, and they definitely deserve to be more known about. So, if you enjoyed this video, please like and share the video with others to spread the word about this wonderful organization. And I want to give a special thanks to Guardian Group for allowing me an interview and for doing the work that they are doing against sex trafficking. I hope you enjoy the rest of this video.
Hello, everybody. My name is Dave with Human Trafficking Hater. I'm here with Andrea from Guardian Group, and we are going to go over some of the specifics of what Guardian Group is, what they do, how they're doing it, and how you can be a part of it too if you're interested in doing that. So, Andrea, first off, thank you so much for participating. We really appreciate you being digitally here. So
yeah, thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's just jump right in. So how does Guardian Group fight sex trafficking?
Yeah, so Guardian Group uses two strategies to combat trafficking here in the US. We only look at sex trafficking, just so you know, and we only look here in the US. And we do that through an offensive component and a defensive component. Our offensive component is, we call them the pursuit team, and they're made up of retired elite military and intelligence professionals. And what they do is they identify US-based victims of trafficking through publicly available information. So through Facebook, through social media, through escort ads, stuff like that. And then once they've identified a victim, it's confirmed, it's corroborated, then they package that up and they send it to law enforcement. Okay. And why this is important is because law enforcement oftentimes doesn't have the time, the resources, or the training necessary to do this work. And so we're just making it, taking a step out and just making them able to provide recovery to victims a little bit faster. So that's what we do on the offensive side. And then on our defensive side, we provide sector-specific training to places that are going to see trafficking most often. So to hospitals, to healthcare workers, to hotels, things of that nature, a lot of training to law enforcement where they need it, and then just to communities. So empowering people to recognize this crime and then to know how to respond, what to do, what not to do, and to know like what you're actually seeing versus what you just think trafficking looks like.
And I think that I saw you guys even reached out to, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, a group called in Trenton in Michigan or something like that. It was like a dive shop or a machinist or something like that. There was a group that you reached out to and you had law enforcement come to that facility as well, I think. Something like that. Maybe I had that wrong.
No, I think you're right, but I think that was a couple years ago.
Yeah, I dug deep. So,
yeah, we provided some training out there. So we'll go into any corporation that asks us. And that's one of the cool things about how people can get involved is train your employees. They're still a member of your community and they can protect your community. So by providing it, no matter what your organization does, so whether you're a bank or, you know, a hair salon or whatever, everyone's going to see it different. And so you just protect your community by providing training. So I think it was Trenton Forging in Michigan, and I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
Right. I knew I had it a little mixed up there, but thank you for clarifying it. So, okay, so you definitely described how it is that you guys are addressing sex trafficking in the U.S. Mm-hmm. I mean, and I think it's incredible too, using public information to do that, but obviously taking that step because law enforcement's obviously bogged down or possibly unaware. But what makes Guardian Group different from other groups that are fighting against sex trafficking?
Yeah, so what makes us different is our holistic approach. So there's organizations that do training and there's organizations that provide some level of support to law enforcement, but we're bringing those two things together by empowering a community to recognize the crime and know how to report it to law enforcement, and then providing that support to law enforcement protects the whole community. It's the whole picture. Because the reality is, like, law enforcement is going to be the one that is going to need to provide recovery to a victim as well as arrest a predator. I mean, we can't be going around like, just vigilantes and doing what we want. We definitely have to like bring in the proper authorities. And so by equipping a community to recognize it and then know how to alert their authorities, and then supporting those authorities, it's just the full circle.
Right. Okay. And it definitely is a unique approach. Having done some nonprofit work myself in the past and just being affiliated within the networks of other nonprofits, it really is a unique approach. So I'm glad that you guys are doing it. Okay, so let's move in. So to the next question here. So what do you see Guardian Group doing differently or the same possibly, like maybe in 5 years?
Ideally, we wouldn't have a job in 5 years. We would love this crime not to exist in 5 years. However, it's bigger than we all know. So realistically, we will still be here. We'll still be fighting the same thing in 5 years. We're going to hopefully just have expanded our capabilities offensively and defensively. The thing I think that we would be doing differently is we're always learning as the crime changes. We're learning from our law enforcement partners. We're learning from those with lived experience. So as we meet survivors, they're telling us what happened to them and how we could have helped, protect them differently. And so we're always adapting our training and things like that. So I think things may look a little different in 5 years as far as what we're teaching and how we're going about it. But I think that the mission will still be the same.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And I think it's key too. Like I mentioned the whole part of learning, because it's not a stagnant process. And it's kind of like even in those like little missteps and failures that you have, those are really learning moments. Again, when I tried to do nonprofit work in the past, I thought I was going to join and be like sharing all this like intense information, and I'd be like an advocate. And I found probably where I was most useful is that since I had done Uber in the past, I was able to help somebody who was a survivor who was looking for a practical way to get a job. I was able to help that person understand how to do Uber. So you never know exactly how you're going to be used, but you make yourself available in that space. So I think it's great that you mentioned that learning component there. Okay, so next question. So what do you want people to know about sex trafficking?
Yeah, I think the thing that's there's kind of two parts that are really important for people to understand. One, there's a lot of bad information online about this crime. I think about every other month, there's a post on social media that goes viral that's just really inaccurate. And that really does some harm to what people know and how we can protect people. So be careful with what you read and you believe. Don't just believe everything that gets shared on social. But also too, like, I think in our culture, we, especially with the Jeffrey Epstein case, we see this crime as something that exists overseas, or we see it as something that just exists in these like higher up political celebrity rings. And I just want people to understand that it's also happening next door to you. And that you can't separate yourself from it and just say, this is never going to happen to me. I live in a very safe community and it happens here. I mean, we look at this all day long and it happens here. And so just know that it can happen, and protect your kids, protect your family, protect your community. So I think just not ignoring it is really important.
Yeah. And the things you mentioned before, like spreading the awareness and getting it out to everybody in any space who's willing to listen, because there's no rules to where it's going to pop up. It's not in the elite only, and it's not just in poor communities. It's literally everywhere that you could possibly imagine it could possibly be. So, so that's great. Yeah, I'm glad that you shared that. And then I guess the last question here is, for anybody who's watching this and is just really moved by the things that you're doing and how you're going about doing it, maybe wants to help you not have a job in 5 years. So what can people at home do to help Guardian Group fight against sex trafficking?
Yeah, so there's two things you can do. The first thing you can do is take our training. So we offer an introductory training. It's $5. If you don't want to spend $5, you can find so much information on our website about the indicators of trafficking, about the myths that people believe things and what reality really is, who to call, the hotline number, all these things. So get trained, because that that just expands our defensive capability, the more people that are trained.
Sure.
And it protects your family and your community. So that's the number one way you can kind of join us. And the second way is through financial support. We employ a really unique group of veterans that have a very unique skill set in the intelligence side of the house. And we, funding that. Unfortunately, that is what we need. We've created this community called the Guardians, and they're our monthly supporters. So some of them give it $5, some give it 50, whatever's comfortable. And they honestly play such a vital role in this fight, because we couldn't do what we do without them. And so we invite everybody we talk to join the Guardians, because it is a huge role in this fight.
Yeah, excellent. I mean, $5, that's a cup of coffee,
Totally.
or going to sandwich
Totally.
the day or whatever. I mean, so
Mm-hmm.
to get any type of training on human trafficking, and you are right, just going through your website, there's just so many things that you guys are offering, and it really gives just so much information. So I can't even imagine that the training wouldn't be worth, significantly more than the $5 you're charging. So that really is a good
Yeah.
deal. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of the information.
Yeah.
I appreciate you taking the time out to do this. So I'm sure that it's
Thanks
going
for
to.
thanks for doing what you're doing and supporting organizations and spreading some good awareness. It's definitely needed.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
That's all for this week's episode. If you are not yet, make sure to follow us on Facebook and subscribe on YouTube at Human Trafficking Hater. Thanks for watching.